In a peaceful corner of the forest, where the morning sunbeams filtered softly through the leaves, lived two very special friends. Eleanor the elephant had soft gray skin that felt like warm velvet, and her friend Geoffrey the giraffe had beautiful spots that looked like golden clouds scattered across his fur. They loved spending quiet days together, sharing gentle moments under the shade of the tall, whispering trees. One peaceful morning, as Eleanor and Geoffrey were enjoying their breakfast of sweet, tender leaves, they watched a family of birds nestled in their cozy tree home. The sight made them smile, and Eleanor had a lovely thought. "Dear Geoffrey," she whispered softly, "wouldn't it be wonderful if we could build our own special place in the trees? A quiet space where we could watch the stars at night." Geoffrey smiled warmly at his friend, his long neck swaying gently in the morning breeze. "That's a beautiful idea, Eleanor," he replied, in his calm, gentle voice. "We could make it big enough for both of us, with windows to see the sunset and soft cushions made from fallen leaves." The two friends began their peaceful project with careful planning. Eleanor used her trunk to gather smooth, fallen branches, while Geoffrey reached up high into the trees to collect the softest leaves and vines. They worked together slowly and steadily, like the gentle rhythm of falling rain. As the morning sun climbed higher in the sky, Eleanor discovered she could lift the heaviest branches with her strong trunk, passing them carefully to Geoffrey, who could reach the highest spots in the old oak tree. They worked in comfortable silence, occasionally sharing soft smiles and quiet words of encouragement. The forest around them hummed with peaceful sounds, the soft rustling of leaves, the gentle cooing of doves, and the quiet whisper of the warm breeze. Other forest animals watched with interest, but Eleanor and Geoffrey were so focused on their gentle task that they hardly noticed their curious audience. When it was time for their afternoon rest, they sat together in the cool grass, sharing sweet berries and watching fluffy clouds drift lazily across the sky. "The treehouse is coming along beautifully," Eleanor murmured, her eyes half closed in contentment. Geoffrey nodded slowly, feeling peaceful and happy. As the afternoon continued, they added more special touches to their treehouse. Eleanor wove soft grasses into cozy mats for the floor, while Geoffrey arranged delicate flowers in the windows. They created a special platform strong enough to hold Eleanor's weight, and made the entrance wide enough for Geoffrey's long neck to fit comfortably. The sun began to sink lower in the sky, painting the clouds in soft shades of pink and gold. Eleanor and Geoffrey stepped back to admire their work, feeling warm satisfaction in their hearts. The treehouse was perfect, not too big and not too small, just right for two friends to share. "Shall we try it out?" Geoffrey asked softly, and Eleanor nodded with a gentle smile. They climbed carefully into their new space, Eleanor using the strong platform they had built, while Geoffrey's long neck allowed him to peek in through the special window they had made just for him. Inside, everything was peaceful and calm. Soft breezes drifted through the windows, carrying the sweet scent of forest flowers. They had lined the walls with the softest moss they could find, and created comfortable spots where they could rest and watch the world go by. As evening settled over the forest, Eleanor and Geoffrey sat quietly in their treehouse, watching as the first stars began to twinkle in the darkening sky. The moon rose slowly, casting a gentle silver light through the leaves, making patterns on the treehouse floor. "This is even more wonderful than I imagined," Eleanor whispered, her voice soft and content. Jeffrey hummed in agreement, his eyes growing heavy with peaceful tiredness. Below them, the forest was settling down for the night, with occasional soft hoots from owls and the gentle rustle of nocturnal creatures beginning their quiet evening activities. Time passed slowly and sweetly in their cozy treehouse. Eleanor and Jeffrey found themselves growing more sleepy as they listened to the soothing nighttime sounds of the forest. The stars twinkled like tiny lanterns in the dark sky, and a gentle breeze rocked their treehouse ever so slightly, like a mother softly swaying a cradle. As the night grew deeper, Eleanor curled up on her soft grass mat, while Jeffrey rested his long neck on the special cushioned ledge they had made. Their treehouse kept them safe and warm, surrounded by the peaceful sounds of their forest home. The moon watched over them like a gentle guardian, casting soft silver light through the windows. And so, the two friends drifted off to sleep in their perfect treehouse, surrounded by the quiet whispers of the night forest. Their hearts were full of contentment, knowing they had created something special together. The stars continued their gentle twinkle, the leaves whispered soft lullabies, and all was peaceful in their corner of the forest. In the soft golden light of a peaceful African evening, where the warm breeze whispered through the tall grass like a lullaby, there lived two very special friends. One was Eleanor the elephant, with skin as soft as velvet and eyes that sparkled like gentle stars. The other was Jeffrey the giraffe, whose long, graceful neck seemed to stretch up toward the fluffy clouds that drifted lazily across the sky. Eleanor and Jeffrey loved spending time together in their beautiful savannah home. As the sun began its slow descent toward the horizon, painting the sky in gentle shades of pink and purple, Eleanor had a wonderful idea. "Would you like to play a quiet game of hide and seek?" she asked her tall friend, her voice as soft as the evening breeze. Jeffrey smiled down at Eleanor, his eyes twinkling with joy. "That sounds lovely," he whispered back, "but let's play very gently, so we don't disturb our friends who are getting ready for their evening rest." Eleanor nodded in agreement, and they decided she would seek first. She closed her eyes and began counting slowly and softly. 1, 2, 3. As she counted, she could hear Jeffrey's gentle footsteps moving quietly away, accompanied by the soothing rustle of grass. While Eleanor counted, Jeffrey looked around the peaceful savannah for a perfect hiding spot. The setting sun cast long, soft shadows across the land, making everything look magical and dreamy. He noticed a group of acacia trees whose leaves swayed gently in the evening breeze, their branches reaching out like welcoming arms. 18, 19, 20. Eleanor finished counting. She opened her eyes and gazed around the tranquil landscape. The air was filled with the soft chirping of crickets beginning their evening song, and far away, a family of birds was settling into their nest for the night. Eleanor moved slowly and peacefully through the savannah, her footsteps as gentle as falling leaves. She looked behind a large, smooth boulder that was warm from the day's sunshine. No Jeffrey there. She peeked around a cluster of peaceful sleeping flowers, their petals closed for the night. Still no sign of her friend. As she walked, Eleanor noticed all the beautiful, restful things around her. There were butterflies gently floating down to rest on soft flower petals. Little mice were curling up in their cozy grass nests. Even the clouds above seemed to be settling down for a peaceful night's sleep. Finally, Eleanor approached the acacia trees. She smiled softly as she noticed something unusual about one of them, a very long neck extending up through the branches. Geoffrey had tried his best to blend in with the trees, but his spots peeked through the leaves like gentle stars in the evening sky. "I see you, Geoffrey," Eleanor whispered with a warm smile. Geoffrey emerged from the trees, trying not to giggle too loudly. "Those trees were so cozy," he said softly. "The leaves were like a soft blanket around me." Now it was Geoffrey's turn to seek. He rested his long neck against one of the acacia trees and began counting slowly. 1, 2, 3. Eleanor moved quietly through the savanna, her steps as light as floating clouds. She found a wonderful hiding spot behind a group of sleeping bushes. Their leaves were soft and cool, and Eleanor felt very peaceful as she settled in. She could hear Geoffrey's gentle voice counting in the distance, mixing with the soothing sounds of the evening. When Geoffrey finished counting, he began his careful search. His long neck allowed him to see far across the peaceful savanna, but Eleanor had chosen her hiding spot well. He looked near the quiet waterhole, where the surface was as smooth as glass. He checked behind the large, round rocks that sat like sleeping giants in the grass. As Geoffrey searched, the sky grew softer and darker, with the first evening stars beginning to twinkle above like tiny night lights. The moon rose slowly, casting a gentle silver glow over everything. It made the savanna look like a magical dream world. Geoffrey moved gracefully between the trees and bushes, his long legs carrying him quietly through the tall grass. He noticed how the evening dew made everything sparkle softly in the moonlight. The air was becoming cooler and more peaceful with each passing moment. At last, Geoffrey approached the sleeping bushes. He saw a gentle movement and noticed Eleanor's trunk peeking out ever so slightly. "I found you, Eleanor," he whispered with a warm smile. Eleanor emerged from her hiding spot, feeling calm and content. The two friends sat together under the star-filled sky, watching as more and more stars appeared like tiny diamonds scattered across dark velvet. They felt peaceful and happy after their gentle game. The evening air wrapped around them like a soft, warm blanket. "That was such a lovely game," Eleanor said, with a peaceful yawn. Geoffrey nodded slowly, his own eyes beginning to feel heavy with sleep. "The most wonderful part," he whispered, "was spending this quiet time with you, my dear friend." As the moon continued its gentle journey across the sky, Eleanor and Geoffrey decided it was time to rest. They found comfortable spots near each other, Eleanor lying on the soft grass, and Geoffrey settling down beside her. The crickets' lullaby grew softer and softer, and the stars twinkled their own quiet goodnight. The peaceful savanna had grown very still now, with only the gentlest of breezes moving through the grass. Eleanor and Geoffrey closed their eyes, feeling safe and content in each other's company. Their game of hide-and-seek had been perfect, not too exciting, just peaceful and fun. Exactly right for a beautiful evening under the stars. And as they drifted off to sleep, the moon watched over them like a gentle guardian, casting its soft silver light across the peaceful African night. The stars continued their quiet twinkling, and all was calm and peaceful in their corner of the world, where two unlikely friends had shared a perfect evening of gentle play and warm friendship. In the warm and peaceful African savanna, where golden grass swayed like gentle waves in the breeze, lived two dear friends, Edison the elephant and Gabriel the giraffe. They spent their days wandering through the endless plains, sharing stories and enjoying the beautiful world around them. One peaceful morning, as the sun painted the sky in soft shades of pink and orange, Edison and Gabriel were watching butterflies dance among the acacia trees. Gabriel, stretching his long neck up towards the fluffy white clouds, had an idea. "Dear Edison," he said in his gentle voice, "shall we walk together to the distant watering hole? We could make it into a friendly journey, seeing who reaches there first." Edison smiled warmly, his big ears swaying softly in the morning breeze. "That sounds lovely, my friend, but let's not rush. The savannah has so many wonderful things to see along the way." And so, the two friends began their peaceful journey across the golden plains. Gabriel's long legs carried him gracefully through the tall grass, while Edison's strong feet left gentle impressions in the earth. The morning dew sparkled like tiny diamonds on the grass, and soft bird songs filled the air with sweet melodies. As they walked, they discovered so many beautiful things they had never noticed before. Edison paused to help a tiny tortoise cross their path, gently lifting it with his trunk and placing it safely in the shade of an umbrella tree. Gabriel spotted some young zebras playing in the distance, their black and white stripes blending together like a peaceful painting. The warm sun climbed higher in the sky, and fluffy clouds drifted lazily overhead. Edison and Gabriel didn't think about who was ahead or behind. Instead, they shared stories about the changing seasons and remembered the wonderful times they had spent together. When they reached a patch of particularly lovely flowers, Gabriel lowered his long neck to smell their sweet fragrance. "Edison," he said softly, "isn't it wonderful how many beautiful things we discover when we take our time?" Edison nodded, using his trunk to gently stroke the petals of a nearby flower. A family of meerkats watched them pass, standing like little sentinels in the golden grass. The small creatures waved their tiny paws, and both Edison and Gabriel stopped to say hello. The meerkats shared their morning berries with the two friends, and everyone sat together in the warm sunshine, enjoying the peaceful moment. As the afternoon grew warmer, they found a shady spot beneath a large acacia tree. Edison used his trunk to spray cool water on some nearby plants, creating a gentle rainbow in the sunlight. Gabriel watched the tiny water droplets fall, sparkling like stars in the afternoon sun. They rested in the shade, watching butterflies dance above the flowers and listening to the soft whisper of the wind through the grass. A gentle breeze carried the sweet scent of wild jasmine, making them feel peaceful and content. When they continued their journey, they walked side by side, matching their pace to each other. They saw a mother rhinoceros teaching her baby how to find the sweetest grass, and a group of flamingos dancing gracefully by a small pond. Their pink feathers glowing in the warm light, the sun began its gentle descent towards the horizon, painting the sky in soft shades of gold and rose. Long shadows stretched across the savannah like gentle brush strokes on nature's canvas. Edison and Gabriel realized they were approaching the watering hole, but neither of them felt tired or rushed. At the water's edge, they found other animals gathering for their evening drinks. Everyone welcomed them with warm smiles and kind words. The setting sun turned the calm water into liquid gold, and gentle ripples spread across its surface like peaceful thoughts. "You know, Gabriel," Edison said softly, watching the beautiful sunset, "I think we both won today." Gabriel nodded, his long neck swaying gently in the evening breeze. "We certainly did, my friend. We won the gift of seeing our home with new eyes." As the stars began to appear in the darkening sky, Edison and Gabriel settled down by the water's edge. They watched as the moon rose, round and peaceful, casting its gentle light across the savannah. The night birds began their soft songs, and a cool breeze carried the sweet scent of night-blooming flowers. Other animals gathered around them, drawn by their peaceful presence. Young giraffes and baby elephants snuggled close to their parents, while zebras and antelopes rested nearby. The whole savannah seemed to be settling down for a peaceful night's sleep. Edison and Gabriel stayed awake a little longer, watching the stars twinkle above them like distant dreams. They didn't need to talk anymore. They just enjoyed the quiet company of a dear friend. The gentle sounds of the night wrapped around them like a warm blanket, and soon their eyes began to feel heavy with sleep. As they drifted off under the starlit sky, both friends knew that this day would become one of their most precious memories. Not because of any race or competition, but because they had learned to see the beauty in taking things slowly, in helping others, and in sharing peaceful moments with a true friend. And so, under the vast African sky, where the stars shone like gentle nightlights, Edison the elephant and Gabriel the giraffe fell into peaceful dreams, their hearts full of warmth and contentment. The savannah night wrapped them in its gentle embrace as all the animals of the plains slept soundly, sharing in the peace of a perfect day's end. In a peaceful forest where the trees whispered softly in the evening breeze, there lived a tiny ant named Pip and a magnificent elephant named Luna. Pip was the smallest ant in his colony, while Luna was the gentlest elephant anyone had ever known. Despite their enormous difference in size, they shared the sweetest friendship that brought joy to all the forest creatures. One warm evening, as the golden sun was setting and painting the sky in soft shades of pink and purple, Pip was resting on a smooth, round pebble near the old oak tree. Luna came walking by, her footsteps as gentle as falling leaves. She carefully settled down beside her tiny friend, creating a soft breeze with her long, silky ears. "What shall we do this lovely evening?" Luna asked in her kind, quiet voice that always reminded Pip of warm honey dripping slowly from a spoon. The little ant thought for a moment, watching the fireflies beginning to dance in the growing twilight. "Perhaps we could play hide and seek," suggested Pip. "The forest is so peaceful at this time, and the evening shadows would make wonderful hiding places." Luna's eyes twinkled like stars as she nodded in agreement. "That sounds wonderful," she whispered. "Would you like to hide first, dear friend?" Pip nodded happily, and Luna closed her eyes, counting ever so slowly. 1, 2, 3. Her gentle counting floated through the air like soft petals in a spring breeze. While Luna counted, Pip scurried about, looking for the perfect hiding spot. He passed by a patch of sweet-smelling violets, crawled under a blanket of fallen leaves, and finally found a cozy spot inside a curved mushroom cap. The forest was growing quieter as night creatures began to wake, and day creatures settled down to rest. "Ready or not, here I come," Luna called out softly, her voice carrying through the evening air like a lullaby. She moved with incredible grace for such a large animal, carefully placing each foot to avoid disturbing any of the forest's smaller residents. Luna looked behind the old oak tree, peeked under ferns that swayed gently in the evening breeze, and checked near the babbling brook where water trickled softly over smooth stones. All the while, Pip watched from his mushroom hideaway, feeling snug and content. The moon rose higher in the sky, casting silver light through the leaves and creating peaceful patterns on the forest floor. Luna continued her careful search, checking each flower and leaf with patience and care. Finally, she noticed a tiny giggle coming from the mushroom patch. "Could my dear friend be hiding under this lovely mushroom?" Luna asked softly, her trunk gently touching the cap where Pip was hiding. The little ant emerged, laughing quietly. "What a clever hiding spot," Luna praised, her eyes twinkling with joy. Now it was Pip's turn to count while Luna looked for a hiding place. The tiny ant closed his eyes and counted slowly, feeling the cool evening air brush against his antennae. 1, 2, 3. Each number was like a soft musical note in the quiet forest. When Pip opened his eyes, he began his search for his enormous friend. Of course, Luna was not very hard to find. She had tried to hide behind a young maple tree, but her gentle gray sides peeked out on both sides. Still, Pip took his time, pretending to look in all sorts of places. He checked under leaves and behind stones, in flower patches and near the stream. All the while, Luna tried her best to stay still, though sometimes her trunk would sway gently, or she would let out a tiny, happy rumble. Finally, Pip approached the maple tree. "I wonder if my dear friend Luna might be behind this tree," he called out softly. Luna stepped out, her eyes filled with warmth and joy. "You found me," she whispered, careful not to disturb the evening peace. As they played a few more rounds, their movements became slower and more peaceful. The forest grew quieter around them, with only the soft hooting of owls and the gentle rustle of leaves in the night breeze. Luna's hiding places became easier to find, and Pip's searches became sleepier. After one final round, Luna noticed her tiny friend yawning. She carefully lowered her trunk to the ground, creating a perfect curved path for Pip to climb up. "Perhaps it's time for us to rest," she suggested softly. Pip nodded sleepily and crawled onto her trunk. Luna carried her dear friend back to the ant colony, moving as smoothly as a cloud drifting across the night sky. The stars twinkled above them like countless fireflies, and the moon cast its gentle silver light upon the peaceful forest. As they reached Pip's home, Luna carefully lowered her trunk. "Thank you for a wonderful evening, my friend," she whispered. Pip smiled sleepily and waved his tiny antennae. "Sweet dreams, Luna," he murmured, before disappearing into his cozy home. Luna walked slowly back to her own resting place, her heart full of happiness from the simple joy of playing with her friend. The forest settled into its nighttime quiet, with all its creatures drifting off to sleep under the watchful gaze of the moon and stars. And so ended another peaceful day in the forest, where the unlikely friendship between the tiniest ant and the largest elephant showed that the sweetest connections can form between the most different of friends, especially when hearts are gentle and kind. In a peaceful corner of the savannah, where the grass swayed softly in the evening breeze, lived a gentle elephant named Luna and a graceful giraffe named Stella. Luna had the softest gray skin that seemed to shimmer in the moonlight, and Stella's spotted coat looked like it was decorated with tiny stars. Every evening, as the warm sun began to set, these two dear friends would meet beneath their favorite acacia tree. On this particular evening, the sky was painted in the most beautiful shades of purple and gold. Luna arrived first, her footsteps as gentle as falling leaves. She swayed peacefully from side to side, watching the clouds drift by like cotton candy in the evening sky. Soon, Stella appeared, her long neck moving gracefully as she approached her friend. "Good evening, dear Luna," Stella whispered softly. "The stars are beginning to peek out. Shall we go for our evening walk?" Luna smiled warmly, her trunk swaying gently like a flower in the breeze. "That sounds wonderful, my friend," she replied in her calm, soothing voice. Together, they began their peaceful journey across the savannah. The grass beneath their feet was soft and cool, and crickets had started their gentle evening song. Luna and Stella walked slowly, taking time to appreciate all the beautiful things around them. The evening air carried the sweet scent of jasmine, and fireflies began to dance around them like tiny twinkling lights. As they walked, Luna and Stella shared quiet conversations about the simple joys they had experienced during the day. Luna told about the refreshing pool she had found, where water lilies floated like little boats. Stella spoke of the tender young leaves she had tasted at the top of a tree, and how she had watched a family of birds building their nest. The moon rose higher in the sky, casting a silver light that made everything look magical and dreamy. Luna and Stella came to a peaceful meadow filled with flowers that seemed to glow in the moonlight. They decided to rest there for a while, feeling the soft grass beneath them. Luna gently settled down, and Stella folded her long legs carefully beside her friend. Above them, the stars twinkled like diamonds, scattered across dark velvet. Stella, being so tall, felt like she could almost touch them. "Do you see that cluster of stars there?" she whispered to Luna. "It looks just like a flower blooming in the night sky." Luna gazed up contentedly, her ears moving softly in the gentle breeze. As they rested, a family of rabbits hopped quietly nearby, their fur silvery in the moonlight. They weren't afraid of the two gentle giants, for Luna and Stella were known throughout the savannah for their kind and peaceful nature. A wise old owl glided silently overhead, nodding a greeting as it passed. The night grew deeper, and the air became cooler and more refreshing. Luna and Stella began their journey back home, walking even more slowly now, their movements becoming softer and more peaceful with each step. The rhythm of their walking was like a gentle lullaby, steady and soothing. They passed by a quiet pond where the moon's reflection danced on the still water. Frogs sang their evening songs, a melodic chorus that seemed to echo the peace of the night. Water lilies had closed their petals, ready for sleep, and dragonflies rested on the reeds, their wings glittering with moonlight. As they approached their favorite acacia tree once more, both friends felt wonderfully peaceful. The walk had filled them with a sense of calm and contentment that made their eyelids feel heavy. The night had grown quiet, with only the softest sounds of the savannah around them. "Thank you for another beautiful evening walk, dear friend," Stella said softly, her voice barely above a whisper. Luna gently touched Stella's neck with her trunk in a tender gesture of friendship. "Sweet dreams, my gentle friend," she murmured. They parted ways with the same peaceful grace that had accompanied their entire evening. Luna found a soft patch of grass beneath a spreading tree, where she would sleep standing up, swaying ever so slightly in her dreams. Stella settled nearby, her long neck curved gracefully as she rested against the trunk of another tree. The stars continued their slow dance across the sky, watching over the two friends as they drifted into peaceful sleep. The gentle breeze carried the sweet scent of night-blooming flowers, and the moon cast its soft light over the sleeping savannah. In their dreams, Luna and Stella continued their peaceful walk together, their friendship as eternal as the stars above. And so, the night embraced them all in its gentle arms, the sleeping elephant, the dreaming giraffe, the quiet flowers, and the twinkling stars, all at peace in the vast, beautiful savannah. The only sound was the whisper of the breeze, singing its endless lullaby to all who would listen, carrying dreams on its wings into the peaceful night. In the warm, golden light of the setting sun, where the tall grass swayed like gentle waves in the breeze, there lived three very special friends. There was Leonard the lion, who had the softest golden mane that shimmered like honey in the sunlight. Emma the elephant, whose gray skin was smooth as river stones, and whose eyes sparkled with kindness. And finally, there was Grace the giraffe, whose long, graceful neck reached up toward the fluffy white clouds, floating lazily across the sky. Every evening, as the sun painted the sky in soft shades of pink and orange, these three friends would meet by the ancient baobab tree. The tree's branches spread out like a welcoming umbrella, providing a perfect place for them to share stories and watch the stars appear one by one in the darkening sky. On this particular evening, Leonard the lion was the first to arrive. He walked slowly and peacefully, his paws making gentle impressions in the warm earth. He wasn't like other lions who rushed about. Leonard preferred to take his time and notice all the beautiful things around him. He watched as butterflies danced on the evening breeze, their wings catching the last rays of sunshine. Soon Emma the elephant came walking through the tall grass, her footsteps as soft as whispers despite her size. She had learned from her grandmother how to walk so quietly that even the sleeping flowers wouldn't wake. As she approached, she gently swayed her trunk in greeting to Leonard, who smiled warmly at his dear friend. Lastly came Grace the giraffe, her long legs moving in a slow, peaceful rhythm. She had spent the day reaching for the tastiest leaves at the tops of the trees. But now she was ready to relax with her friends. The setting sun made her spotted coat glow with warm golden light. "What a beautiful evening," whispered Leonard as he settled down on the soft grass. Emma nodded in agreement, sitting beside him with a contented sigh. Grace lowered her long neck, bringing her head close to her friends, and together they watched as the first stars began to twinkle in the deepening blue of the sky. "Shall I tell you about my day?" Emma asked softly. Her friends nodded, always happy to hear her gentle stories. "Today I found a pool of crystal clear water, so still it looked like a mirror. I saw clouds reflected in it, drifting slowly across the surface, like dreams floating by." Grace smiled, her long eyelashes fluttering as she remembered her own peaceful day. "I watched the sunrise this morning," she shared in her quiet voice. The sky turned from deep purple to soft pink, just like the flowers that bloom in the morning. The birds began to sing their sweet morning songs, one by one, until the whole savannah was filled with gentle music. Leonard listened contentedly, his eyes half closed in peaceful relaxation. "I spent my afternoon watching the clouds change shape," he murmured. "I saw one that looked like a sleeping lamb, and another that reminded me of a floating feather." As the night grew deeper, the stars multiplied until the sky was filled with twinkling lights. A cool, gentle breeze carried the sweet scent of night-blooming flowers. The three friends sat in comfortable silence, sharing the peaceful moment together. Emma began to hum very softly an old lullaby her mother had taught her. The sound was as gentle as falling leaves and as soothing as summer rain. Leonard's eyes grew heavier as he listened, and Grace swayed her long neck slowly to the melody. "When I was very young," Emma whispered, "my grandmother told me that the stars are like tiny lanterns, lit by ancient elephants to guide their way home. Now, whenever I see them twinkling above, I think of all the peaceful nights shared by those who came before us." Grace nodded sleepily. "And my mother always said that the moon is like a great silver leaf floating in the sky garden," she added, her voice soft and dreamy. The moon was indeed rising now, casting its gentle silver light over the savannah. Leonard yawned quietly, his great mane ruffling in the night breeze. "My grandfather used to say that night is when the world takes a peaceful breath, and all creatures can rest together in harmony." The night grew deeper still, and the friends found themselves growing more and more sleepy. Emma's eyes began to close, her trunk curled contentedly beside her. Grace's long neck gradually lowered until her head rested on the soft grass. Leonard's breathing became slow and peaceful, matching the gentle rhythm of the night. Around them, the savannah prepared for sleep. The crickets chirped their peaceful lullaby, and the grass swayed gently in the cool night air. Far above, the stars continued their quiet twinkling, watching over the three friends as they drifted into peaceful dreams. And so, beneath the ancient baobab tree, Leonard the lion, Emma the elephant, and Grace the giraffe slept peacefully together, surrounded by the gentle sounds of the night. The moon smiled down upon them, casting its soft silver light over their sleeping forms, while the stars kept their eternal watch in the vast, peaceful sky above. As they slept, they dreamed of tomorrow's sunset, when they would meet again to share more gentle stories and peaceful moments together, under the same stars that had watched over countless generations before them, in this most peaceful corner of the beautiful African savanna.